Growing up in a farming community and having family members at that farm really got me connected to the farming community. It's a group of people that take pride in what they do and have a real sense of community that I can relate to.
What makes us unique at Grimble B. Coleman is that we have a dedicated team of folks that work with the ag industry. We have people that have personal backgrounds that came from a farming background and have spent time with clients and really learn the industry and learn the challenges that our clients face. Business advisory is us going beyond the traditional compliance work and looking for those projects where we can really partner with our clients and give them some additional insight.
It's important to have a relationship with your clients because if you don't have that relationship, you tend to stay on the surface. You tend to stay transactional. By having a relationship, you get to know your clients and your client's business is a lot better. You understand the challenges that they're trying to overcome, and by having that additional relationship with them, you're able to solve some of those problems that you might not get to if you only had that surface level relationship.
So good afternoon, everybody. This is our third AgTech panel of our third annual AgTech session. This is sort of our COVID panel, our COVID aftermath, and kind of where do we go from here? What lessons have we learned? What steps do we need to take in order to prepare ourselves for sort of future considerations like the one we just have been through? I've got three distinguished panel members today. I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Tyler Richardson. I'm the moderator. I am the Chief Business Services Officer for Opportunity Stanislaus, our local economic development organization, and I am the Executive Director for Volt Institute, a nonprofit training center in downtown Modesto. I'm going to start with Celeste. Can you introduce yourself, Celeste, please?
Sure, thank you for having me, Tyler. My name is Celeste Ayers. I'm a native here of Modesto, California, and one of my passions is all things supply chain. So in addition to working for a local winery here, one of the things that I do is I lead the ASCM Sierra Pacific chapter, which is a newly reformed nonprofit focused on educational development when it comes to supply chain leaders.
Thank you. Gary?
Hi, everyone. I am Gary Beaudet. I do business consulting. I work with all different sizes of companies. I work a lot with the ag sector. I do training, instructional system design, and yeah, I'm just happy to be a service here today.
Great, thank you, Gary. And last but certainly not least, Doris Foster.
Hi, I'm Doris Foster. I'm from Stanislaus County Workforce Development, and just a quick overview of what we do is we work with businesses to determine what the skill gaps are. So the ag community is one of our in-demand sectors that we work really closely with. And then what we do is we work with job seekers to identify what skills they have, train them up so that we can meet the business's skill gaps. So great to be here with you all today.
Great, thank you, Doris. Now we're going to get right into the questions. So the questions will kind of frame around three subjects today. One is workforce, the second is supply chain, and then the third one is sort of general business assistance and what resources are available for ag companies that are looking for support and help coming out of the pandemic. The first question is for Gary. So Gary, as you mentioned, and as I know, you work with many food processing and ag-related companies in our region. You've done a lot of work around systems designs, and in system designs, people are a very crucial part of that system and how you set it up. My question for you is, what major effects of COVID have you seen in our essential workforce, the ag workforce, and how should companies respond to them?
It's a great question. I think the biggest one is just things are unstable right now. So I'm seeing small, medium, and large companies having to pivot really fast because the demand has increased, so they have to grow extremely fast. There's other companies where temporarily things have slowed down and then they'll jump back up extremely fast. So just dealing with the demand spikes, whether it's high or low, having to be agile, that's one effect that companies are learning how to change really fast, whether they like it or not. And having the systems in place to support that the change. Another thing, there is longer lead times for companies to get supplies. So things from suppliers that they're used to having that just aren't coming as fast. And then so they're kind of having to plan for plan B to see what to do now if they don't have the materials or the tools that they're used to having for their employees to work with them. And just kind of, I guess the main theme would be, yeah, being forced to have to change whether they're ready for it or not. So I guess companies should respond by first getting things stable, creating stability. So that's for people and that's for processes too. So trying to level out their inventory, trying to level out the workload for employees. Also, they need to look at creating kind of high performance teams where you could put more trust and empowerment in certain teams. And you could do that by training them and setting good ground rules and boundaries and giving them daily goals. So it's making companies have to tighten up because you can't always manage employees as closely now. So if you give them certain goals that they could accomplish at the end of each day, then you don't have to be over their shoulder as much. So I recommend really setting up high performance teams with daily goals and that have some meaningful goals too. And then kind of my last thing, I think companies should respond when it comes to technology is to use only reliable, thoroughly tested technology that serves your process or your people. So in a time of panic, we may grab onto things that look good and have a lot of bells and whistles, but if it doesn't actually support our process, like reduce the lead time, then sometimes it's a waste of money. With things going on so rapidly right now, and we throw something else in, it tends to have people kind of even more frantic because now it's another thing that might be unstable. So yep, that's kind of my response there.
That's great. I'd like to follow up with that, Gary. You had mentioned a couple times in your answer sort of people and working in sort of a frantic and maybe unstable environment. And as managers and executives of companies, we're trying to create that stability in a very chaotic situation. What are some things that you've seen in individual workforce and individual employees that you think managers and owners and executives should be on the lookout for? You know, how to tell if, say, an employee is dealing with some mental health issues or is having some anxiety because of this whole pandemic and having to work on the production floor, so to speak. What are some signs and some things that we should be looking out for to help, to help sort of mitigate any issues?
All right, it's a great question. The first thing I would say is attendance, right? When people aren't coming to work because they're uncomfortable, but just looking for signs of being disconnected. And I think really the thing to focus on is in this time, we need transparency and we have to be open and honest with our employees about changes that we foresee, things that we have on our mind, but giving them access to either write a note on how they're feeling. Because if you get in a big team setting, you ask everyone, hey, is anyone feeling stressed out? Maybe you won't get everyone to respond sharing their true feelings. But if you kind of give everyone a sheet of paper to write down what's going on through your mind. So just having that communication flow with what's going on with employees and giving them a path to speak, with confidence. So I think that's the biggest lesson learned.
I'd like to add to that, Gary. One of the biggest things I've seen with companies that have had continuity in their workforce is that they stop and they recognize outright with transparency the challenge this whole situation has put on everybody. They show empathy. They provide an opportunity, like you said, to have that open door kind of conversation. They become available to you. The revamp or education of employee assistance programs. There's also opportunities, and many of this has been regulated through OSHA as well as the government as far as required time off for COVID, sensitivity to changes in school schedules, things like that, accommodations of sorts. Now, the things that have gone well, in addition to that, is when they are able to breed camaraderie. We're in this together. It's okay to not be okay. Don't pretend that it's okay and that it's business as usual, because it's not. It is not business as usual. And being able to share in the wins when people come back after they've had the illness instead of shaming. Like, oh, you've been gone. You know, what have you been doing? So these comments are all coming from not only my current employer, but also other companies here in the Central Valley, in the ag business that have said, I've asked, what has been good for you? What has your company done well? We've seen our leaders step up. We've seen our employees be more transparent. We've cried, we've laughed, we've worked hard, and we're tired and we need a break. And I go, yes, let's acknowledge all of those things at once. So I agree with you, Gary.
Yeah, and it could really make people stronger, organizations stronger after this.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely, it can.
What resources are currently available to businesses that have made investments into PPE or other COVID-related materials? And generally speaking, how can the county support companies during this time?
So there are a few other few opportunities. We just finished a grant and hope to do another one where we actually came in and reimbursed businesses who had previously spent PPE. But I did a quick check, and we currently, there is an SBA loan that's offering reimbursement for PPE loans, and that ends May 31st. But the other thing that was really interesting is there is a new grant that just opened up on April 15th, which was last week for us. But if you've been watching this a little bit later, and there is no end date to this one, and it is specifically for agricultural businesses and anyone who's experiencing a loss of revenue. And these include businesses of food and fiber, ranching, raising livestock, agriculture, and other farming and related industries. So what we do is we're constantly watching all of these opportunities that are available, and we're putting them on our website immediately as they happen. I have a phone call every Thursday with the state, and they're always telling us what information we have. Our website is Stan County, you can either go through stancounty.com or you can go directly to our website, which is stanworkforce.com. And then there's a little COVID sign. You just go in there, go business, and it'll tell you all the things that are available. It's really just staying on top of it. But what we're experiencing is some of the smaller businesses don't have those opportunities to be able to take advantage of some of them. Maybe they're not familiar with how to fill out applications, or they don't even have a computer system. So we are really there to help with those businesses. They can contact our office. We will have someone walk through that. We also work really closely with Tyler's team at Opportunity Stanislaus, and we can definitely put someone in contact with you, and we'll walk through the applications with you. We'll help whatever we need. We have contacts even with banks that'll be willing to just tell you this is what we're looking for. So the idea is, don't let it overwhelm you. Reach out. There are resources available, and we will help with whatever we possibly can.